Hello again, Kingston Town Administrator Keith Hickey with September's edition of Kingston in Depth. I'm honored today to be joined by two members of the Kingston Veterans Memorial Working Group. The chairman of the committee, just to my immediate left, Rick Veno, and another member of the committee who's also works in our Veterans Service Department, Den Forbes. Thanks, guys, very much for coming in. Appreciate everything you do for the town. We're here today to talk about and make people aware of the Veterans Memorial that has been designed, presented to the Board of Selectmen at a recent Board of Selectmen meeting, and the design itself has been recently finalized. The working group, made up of 6 or 7 gentlemen, have done a tremendous amount of work, and you guys will get into that today. What you'll see in some of the illustrations that are here today are going to be on the screen, are the final renderings of the Veterans Memorial that will be constructed in front of the townhouse. That will lend itself ideally to not only the Memorial Day celebration that goes on every year in Kingston that ends at the townhouse, but also really gives the opportunity for people who want to come and recognize loved ones or people that they were friendly with in the past who were part of the armed forces. They can come and recognize them, sit and contemplate things of that nature. So Rick, with that, maybe you can describe to everybody what the committee's done to get to where you're at today.
Okay.
And how you chose the townhouse as the location for this memorial.
Great. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate that. And I feel very good about being here to talk a little bit about this. It's been such an important project for many of us since last November, which is only 10 months or something like that. When I think of it that way, our progress is sizable. We've done quite well, and we'll talk about that. So I thought that for a beginning, I would talk about the early days briefly. Does that make sense? I'm a resident of Kingston for over 30 years. And as I drive around town and other towns, I see veterans memorials and think about something missing in Kingston. Kingston has a number like 8 or 10 memorials that I respect very much. I don't mean to minimize them in any way. But they essentially don't have a parking space. There are no cars. People do not go there except for holiday parades, that sort of thing. So there's sort of like a 5-minute visit twice a year. And I have thought that looking at some other towns, I'll tell you how many we looked at, we should consider having someplace that's a permanent place where people would go to sit and enjoy and think and get involved with some educational issues. So I, at a meeting, a lunch meeting that Priscilla Brackett organizes, she gave me 5 minutes to talk about this issue and why I think Kingston is missing something. I did that and got maybe 6 or 8 or 10 people involved who would like to come to a meeting and start talking about it. That has worked wonderfully. Since then, we've been meeting probably every other week or more than that since last October, November. And we'll talk about our progress. At that meeting, I've talked about the fact that Kingston needs some place where people can go and sit and enjoy what it's about and think about what it means to be a veteran of today, yesterday, and tomorrow. And why we need something that we don't presently have. So working with this committee, we started talking about a new location, someplace that's different in the sense that people would come and sit. There'd be speakers, there'd be programs, there'd be who knows what. So we started back then wondering where we might go. And that was really a project for us. I would guess, Den, I would guess that we visited 20 or 30 veteran sites in other towns. So we really knew what we wanted, I think, and what we did not want. If you don't mind, I would read something, a line or two from an early point letter that explains that. We understand that this is a complicated project, and the final result is intended to complement and enhance the image of the townhouse building and its practical uses. Importantly, our goal is for this site to be available on a day-to-day basis for Kingston residents and utilized in many ways by individuals or for gatherings and events of various sorts, while also serving as a reminder of the freedoms we all enjoy thanks to the service of veterans. It is expressly not intended only as a drive-by location and utilized only on holidays. I use the term not a drive-by, but a go-to, if you can pardon my language, meaning that this is someplace with, I think we're going to have 6 benches to start with. This is a place where people would come and consider what past veterans, current military, and future military would have to say about their lives and what we can honor here in Kingston. Finally, by creating this beautiful interactive space, we will honor the service of all veterans, those living and working among us, those who died in service to our country, and those who returned to hardship and terrible circumstances. I won't go on about the nature of veterans. That's kind of too big for me right now. But recently the Globe printed something saying that there have been 100,000 veteran suicides since 9/11. And when you think about I work in psychology. When you think about what goes through the circumstances to lose one person, think about 10 others, 20 others, 30 others who thought about it and said, maybe I will, maybe I won't. So to honor these people is a mission that I treasure. And the people that have chosen to work on these projects and open doors for these projects are to be treasured.
I've had the opportunity, if I could, to sit on a few of your meetings, and the passion that I think all of the members of this working group have for this project to properly represent the veterans of not just Kingston but everywhere has been pretty remarkable to me. So Den, maybe you can get into when do you expect to break ground? If you have any ideas, what the next steps are, and ideally, when you would hope that this memorial would be available for use.
We set a goal, hoping to dedicate the memorial this coming Memorial Day in 2023. However, we have discovered that we have to raise a great deal of money in order to make things happen in advance. We have to have the money in a fund before we can actually order and go out to bid, if you will.
Sure.
And we just learned that recently from Gloria Mitchell, the assistant town administrator. And she was quite clear what we have to do. And so we have to work hard to use the media like PAC TV and other forms of media like Kingston Living Magazine, for example. And we've arranged to, thanks to We Print Today, we have a beautiful poster that is just completed. I just received them this morning that we posted around town in Kingston. At the library, the Council on Aging, probably the Reed Center, to name a few. And we will be developing a flyer, again, more than likely with We Print Today. to do just that. We'll have our volunteers go out and meet people, leaders in the community, and ask them for money and in-kind donation as well.
Sure.
And we're looking forward to doing that process, because that's all important. If we don't raise the money, we do not have a Veterans Memorial.
Sure. So with that, if certainly the committee is accepting, the working group is accepting donations. If somebody was interested in donating, where would they send that donation to?
We would
Who
want.
would they make the check payable to?
We're going to make the check payable to the town of Kingston. The town treasurer has an account for us to receive funds, as well as an account to pay bills that we would incur. So it would be to the town of Kingston, and any checks that come in would have a donation and indicate it would be for the Kingston Veteran Memorial.
Sure.
On the check.
Okay. So yeah, I think that's important. Obviously, we get a significant number of
Absolutely.
checks in on a daily basis. So if you can put in the memo line, Kingston Memorial, Veterans Memorial, that would be fantastic. Make things a little bit easier for everybody. Any idea at all, gentlemen, what the estimated cost to do this project will be?
I'm afraid to say a number.
Okay.
I think it's going to be more than $100,000, but I wouldn't say more than that because we're just too unprepared to come up with that.
That's fine. I'm just trying to, I guess, put some perspective on on what the what the fundraising goals are, and what you're hoping to do, and whatnot, just so people can get a better understanding.
Excuse me.
No, that's
we're
fine.
right at the point where we come up with these numbers,
Okay.
and we've come a long way to get there. We engaged a company. What's it called?
Grady Consulting.
Grady Consulting, down the street from us,
Yes.
100 yards. And they've been wonderful in getting us organized and learning what we need to do to go beyond seeing a site and saying, let's go there. We did that for a while. And a fault of mine is that I wasn't sure that the townhouse would be an appropriate site because of its busyness and its traffic and so
Sure.
forth. As I said, we looked at least 30 other sites.
In Kingston.
Yes, that's right. But for seeing what they might look like,
Right.
we looked all over the place.
Absolutely.
So when we got engaged with you and the town of Kingston, it opened doors for us that have been wonderful. The funding, for example, that we're talking about, we have an account with in the town.
Mm-hmm.
Priscilla Brackett is the person who would move a donation through the process and put it where it belongs, so that no one can mishandle a check or money or anything like that.
Sure.
It's using all of the standards of the town hall. And the other parts of the town hall that have been wonderful are the comments from the people who work there, like yourself, who understand what we're trying to do, and that it's a complicated long term. We may not see it happen for another year. So having this at the site of the townhouse meets 6 or 8 standards that we've been hoping for all along. For example, be on a busy road, but not a highway. Mm-hmm. Lots of traffic, but not a highway. Have adequate parking for people who want to get out and walk around. Have walkways and benches and that sort of thing that make people want to go there, as opposed to never or once every 3 years to be part of a parade. I can envision, I don't want to minimize this, but I can envision people having lunch on our benches.
Sure.
That would enjoy being there on a nice summer day, as well as educational material, such as either Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts might want to do something here. There might be a day of the week when different veterans are available at 11 on Friday or something. And they'll be ready to talk with whoever comes by and wants to know a little bit about the background and what they know and what they don't know. So,
We'd like to have a little kiosk there. This was suggested to us by Grady Consulting architectural landscaping architect Bart Lipinski, who we have to give him the credit for all of the work that's been done on all of the 3D dimensional pictures that we have, and he came up with the idea that historically what we could have, because around town what we have is war memorials, we could have this kiosk that would give the street address of where those war memorials are, and a little bit about those war memorials, and perhaps a handout that they could take with them. And it would make then this a focus, if you will, focal point for helping people go to those war memorials and perhaps learn about the history of each.
Sure.
And on those war memorials, we have the names of deceased members, service members, for each and every activity, or action, I should say.
Okay. So obviously a very large project. I know that this could have been done probably a little less expensively and not be quite as elaborate, but this really is a really, really appropriate, in my mind anyways, very, very appropriate memorial for a very important cause, certainly, and I think it's fantastic that you guys have not shied away from
great. Thank you.
the effort that it's going to take to bring forward this sort of a memorial sometime in the near future. So again, people who are interested in donating, there is no amount too small, too large. It'll all add up pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. I think Dan and Rick have both said that they'll be out either themselves, other committee members, or you'll see materials, posters, things of that nature, articles in papers, and monthly news information, making people aware of this project, and hopefully making people interesting people to provide funding for this particular project.
I'd like to add
that's
a
right.
point.
We haven't been ready until now, and now we are.
I'd like to add a point, and that is that I believe that there is definitely need of an organization that we could call today, perhaps, the Friends of the Kingston Veteran Memorial.
Sure.
And these would be people from the community who may have had a loved one who has passed on, who was a service member in one of the branches, and would like to contribute by helping us raise funds for this memorial.
Sure.
In honor and memory of their loved ones. So that's something that I would like to put out there, and I just know that there's someone in Kingston who would love to get their feet on the ground with us in this project and maybe lead us to that finish line.
And I think the easiest way maybe to do that, in my mind anyways, we've got a veterans office in the townhouse in Kingston. There's somebody there every day of the week, one of which is now Den Forbes. We also have Priscilla Brackett, you've heard her name mentioned here, and people who have gone into the townhouse and had any experiences with our veterans office in the past. I think Priscilla's helped you out in any way she possibly can. If you're interested in getting involved, the easiest way is to reach out to our veterans office, I think, and either Den or Priscilla will take your information down and get that to the appropriate group or person, and I would suspect somebody will be reaching out to you pretty quickly after that to take advantage of your offer. So again, I don't think you have to be a veteran to want to help out here. If you have a loved one or just have an interest, I know this. The members of the group would love to have you involved, sir.
The committee that we've talked about, the workers, consists of some members who are not veterans. we have never had a second thought about them being valuable and insightful and ready to go. We're not, the door is open is what I'm trying to say.
Great.
Whoever wants to be part of this can walk in the door and be part of this working group immediately.
Super.
We'd welcome that completely.
I'd like to mention the names
Yes, please.
of our working group, if that's,
Sure.
if we could do that. Bob Ketter, and David McKee, Robert King, Jim Gallagher, myself, Rick, and Priscilla Brackett as well has been assisting us all along.
Great. No, I appreciate it. I was going to ask that you do that. I didn't want to put you on the spot and have you potentially forget one of the people. So with that, any last thoughts, comments on this project you want to make people aware of?
I've kind of, yes, please, briefly. We want to open up a physical site that welcomes people to come and think about and talk about veteran experiences, if it's theirs or somebody else's. The door is generally closed for veterans. Veterans don't have someplace to talk about their circumstances. Largely, they can't explain where they went and what they did, and civilians can't ask them a question that opens that door. So veterans just kind of shut it down and say, okay, I'm going to try to live my life without having an open place to go and talk and be with people. Hopefully, this will provide it in some sense. This will be the place that people will go to, and once again, go to, not drive by.
Right.
They will find time to sit and be present and see what kind of programmatic things we can develop to make this place a living, current, day-to-day resource for veterans that presently does not exist.
I would encourage anyone who is a veteran or a spouse of a deceased veteran to come to our Veteran Service Office if they are in need of any assistance whatsoever. And Priscilla has been holding that position very strongly for the past 27 plus years.
She is wonderful.
And I have, as her administrative assistant, I have a great deal to learn. And I see that each and every day. And I'm fortunate to learn from a wonderful mentor.
Yeah, no question. We would like to think that Kingston provides a tremendous service to our veterans. We're expecting that this monument will just add to that.
Absolutely.
So with that, gentlemen, I want to thank you very, very much for your dedication to this project and the service that you provided this country. It's been an honor to get to know you both of you and your entire working group. And with that, I want to thank everybody very much for watching the show. If you have any questions at all on the memorial, please reach out to the Veterans Office. They will either answer the question for you immediately or get the answer for you and get back to you. So please think about donating if you'd like, or participating just in trying to help out to make this a reality. With that, I want to thank everybody very much for watching. Thank Rick and Den for being here today, and we'll talk to you again next month. Thanks a lot.